Hiya, it's LindaLee, and it's been a little while since we've done anything together. And I was going to do a little day project. I decided to make a journal for someone. And so it's just going to be a single signature. I'm using stuff that I pretty much already have put together. And I'm finding for someone who's done junk journals and done a lot of coffee dyeing, I really don't have very much. It's kind of crazy, but I did find a bunch of stuff that was like avocado dyed, and I have some beet juice that I did on a dot pan, and some offcuts. This is beet juice, this is obviously coffee. So these are little bits and pieces from really other projects. This is also beet juice that I did on a file folder that's just like cut in half. And yeah, so let's just gonna see what we can do with it. So pink, of course, is one of the colors that I've selected, and is probably going to end up being a little on the grungy side. I don't want to go too overly grungy. This person I don't even know if she's aware that I do junk journaling, so I don't want to kind of have it too off the wall. Anyway, this here is kind of my inspiration. I saw it sitting on the side of my desk, and I don't know where it came from or what it's a part of a kit from, but it was gifted to me at some point in the past, and it's probably one of the prettiest things I've ever seen, and it's the only one I have, but I'm going to use it. And I have a couple of pink guest checks. These came from Kelly's shop, Kelly Snow, Bygones Variety Shop. I have a couple of plain tags, a few random things that have been coffee dyed or just distressed, some offcuts of, this is like cardstock for some tags. And this here, I'll probably make a little writing board out of it. It's a little bit heavier. In fact, I might even see if I have another piece of cardboard to put them together so it's a little heavier still. Because this isn't going to be a hardcover, and I want to make sure that there is some stability when writing in the journal, especially if it's not being done on a tabletop. I have a piece of a pillowcase that I think I will use as its tie closure. A little vellum bag that also came from one of Kelly's little bundle things that she does with her glassine bags. I haven't decided really about the lace, if I'm going to use too much or any at all, but it's hard for me not to. So yeah, we're going to incorporate some of that. And how can I have a piece that's as pretty as this without pulling in some kind of lace? And I have to look for a little bit more. I have a digital kit that I used not too long ago, and I have some pieces that are left from it. So, and it's the pink roses too. So that's where we're at. And yeah, so anyway, this here was what started the inspiration of it all. I had this layering going on when I was kind of moving stuff around, and I thought that would make a really cute journal. I don't know. I think I want something to be over the top of it though. So I have this big envelope that was in my pink dyed stuff. So it covers it up pretty nicely. The tab sticks out just a little bit, but I don't care. I don't mind things sticking out. And I'm gonna kind of fill in some paper in between it all, and we'll make the journal. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably not film everything that I do, only because it's gonna be a day project, and we don't want hours and hours of just kind of moving things around 100 times like we do, trying to figure out what it is we're really making. But being that it's one journal or one signature, I kind of want to evenly disperse my pieces. So this is kind of my wacky way of doing it. I kind of spread it out a little bit, and it's not going to be totally even, but because like this I only have one piece, and this I have two, so maybe this will be here, and I'll use these two together at a page and just kind of stagger them. Oh, it's not even folded evenly. I kind of like that even better. The beet juice paper, dots. These two don't really have too much as far as dots are concerned, just very slightly. 2 envelopes. So I think what I might do with the envelopes is hinge them together so that it's on either side of the signature. And so I'm just kind of randomly putting them together so that I don't have two that are exactly the same. Sometimes I do so that it's the same on both sides, but I don't think I want to do that with this one. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. You know how it is when you make these things. You put them together, you take them apart. You put them together, you take them apart until you end up with something that, you know, you can't do without. So, I don't have very many small pieces, do I? I might end up cutting something. And then these two work surface pieces. These are rough cut too, as you can tell. They're not straight. Let's see. I didn't even count how many pages this is going to be yet. I kind of want it to be at least 30. I think I've got enough for it to be that. So now am I going to have these two cardboards on the outside, or am I going to put them kind of on the inside and in between everything? So what I did with this oversized envelope too is I cut the top because I'm going to probably have a top pocket. I do want to line this with something though because I don't like this security blue. I'm going to cover it up with some other avocado dyed paper that I have. I have a couple more sheets of that, so I don't know. Maybe that's all I really need. I want to keep it simple. Got to keep it simple. Which side of this do I like better for the front? Well, I sliced it, so I guess it kind of has to be this way, doesn't it? Okay. So I can put some sturdier pockets here. And then a bigger piece, an envelope, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 40 pages of writing surface. What do you think? That's good, right? And then if I use this as the writing card, it should be perfect in size. It could be a little taller. Anyway, this is going to be it. So now I'm going to do some decorating. So probably, I have some papers that I've had that I'm going to use from a kit. Please don't ask what kit it is because I do not know. But I've got 2 pieces of this paper and I think I'm going to tear it and glue it. And I'm going to distress my edges a bunch. I'm going to do some sewing. Maybe even make a pocket for this. I have this little dot vellum that maybe I'll make a vellum pocket so that this can come in and out. And then it'll still be kind of decorated underneath. Okay. And I'm going to tear it. Let's see. When I tear, I always kind of try and tear up to me because I like when the paper separates and you get that white edge. So I kind of do it fairly consistently that way so that I always have an edge. See, like here, I don't have the edge, but here you can see how the paper kind of separates. And I have that edge. I like it when there's a print. Now this one is not as obvious with, but I think you kind of get what I'm going after. So I'll probably distress this edge. I'm going to distress this edge. I'm going to tear some vellum. Actually, I think I'm going to cut it first so that maybe I can make a bookmark or something out of it later. I don't want to crinkle up the whole thing. So I'm going to tear this too. So that way the card is removable. And I'm gonna do, I probably could have left this a little wider, but I'm gonna just zigzag this. Really super close to that edge. First, I'm going to do some distressing though. I'm going to use probably gathered twigs. This one is my favorite. Walnut Sand's a nice dark brown. This one's a little more on the medium lighter side. I don't know that I'll use any green, although the green would look good, wouldn't it? Because of this. I'll keep that out. We won't use that one. I do have Victorian Velvet. That's a keeper. I'm not going to use any oxides. My little doodabbers are starting to kind of shed, which is what happens over time. Okay, now some of you are probably asking, why is she going to use glue stick on fabric? With lace, I find that this Elmer's glue stick actually works really super good. Not just good, but super good. So I have never had any issues with it. It's easy to sew through once it dries, and I don't know, I just found it really works well with lace. Now, do I use it with fabric? Not always, but I almost always use it with lace. And it sticks down nice and flat. And it'll even let me reposition it if I wanted to. So, and it dries clear. I like that too. So I'm just framing the cover with the raw edge of the lace. So I'm not using the pretty trim lace, I'm using the torn edge. And also too, a lot of times when I work with stuff like this, I use wax paper so that I can push it flat without, when I lift my fingers because of the glue, sometimes it pulls what you're working on up. So wax paper is nice and handy to have for stuff like this. As you can tell, my cat is right here. I think his paw just came into frame. I put a box right up here, so of course cats in boxes. Hopefully he'll kind of stay there. I kind of like the tattered because I held too tightly to some of the lace when I was tearing it. So it kind of forced it to gather a little bit. So when you flatten it out, it makes a hole. So that's kind of what I had going on right here. Almost like a hole. And we got this little nice, cute little fluffy on the outside. So anyway, I hope you guys have been following okay. I haven't really done a whole lot yet, but you can kind of see where I'm going with it maybe. And as you can kind of see with this part, it all dries see-through, or clear, I should say, see-through. Okay. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out my positioning. If I want it tilted this way or tilted this way. I think I want it right there. Okay, so I'm going to sew this with, I think, probably beige thread. Just like that. Okay. I'll be right back. I have to bring my sewing machine up on top and I don't think you really want to watch me sew, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and I have the sewing of the vellum to the paper. If you can, see if I can bring it up so you can kind of see it a little better. So I kind of roughly sewn around the edge, so I have my little pocket like I wanted, and we can see through. This is pretty much dry now, so we can't really see can't see any purple anymore. And I'm going to put this on top and probably use my tacky glue, but before I glue it, I want to put the tie closure on there. Now when I kind of put it roughly together a few moments ago, I didn't like how flat and plain this little strip of cotton was. So I just zigzagged a piece of seam binding to the surface of it. And now I think it just adds a little something without it being so plain. I'll center it. Hopefully I got enough to tie. I think I do. I didn't measure it. I never measure anything really for the most part. So whatever I put on the front and the back now, I'm just going to glue this to the surface. In fact, let's do it now. And again, I'm going to use my glue stick. And I think it's about in the middle. Actually, I want to put it on this little edge here, so that the cotton will lay a little more flat right there. Now, if I had thought a little more about it when I made this, or got this paper for underneath here, I would have put it on cardstock instead of it just being regular copy paper. But I didn't, so we just make do. It's still going to work out just perfect, but I would have probably used a little heavier material with it being glued over top of something else. So let's go ahead and get some glue on this. Now, will I put more on it? Probably, but this is where I'm at for the moment. And what I'll probably do is sew around the edge so that I can secure this. That way, if this glue comes up, like it will over time, it won't tear this right here. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry and work on my papers. Hi, welcome to the end of the project. Sorry I turned the camera off for a while and then just kept on going. I'm recording this the next day. It was a one-day project, and I kind of just want to show it to you. I did a bunch of extra stuff, and then I kind of edited it back a little bit because at the beginning I said I wanted to keep it not as fancy and not too frilly, and it started to get all that. So I cut it back a little bit and I eliminated some stuff on the inside. But anyway, here she is, and let's just take a look inside. And then at the end there will be a slideshow where you can kind of see bits and pieces of it a little up close. But anyway, as I stated earlier, this cotton strip that I was using as a tie closure, it was kind of plain, and so I just kind of did the zigzag stitch to a piece of seam binding up the middle, and we framed the paper and vellum pocket that I made with some lace, and then I just added a couple little appliques and this little metal element. And the outer piece is an oversized envelope. You can kind of see the flap of it right here. I did cover it up on this side. I just wanted to add a little stability to it because on the back side of this side, I have a writing board tucked inside the pocket. This side is open. I decided to stitch this side closed from when I showed you earlier that it was open all the way on the top. So anyway, this is just two pieces of cardboard that come like in the back of a paper pad, and I glued them together and then wrapped it in paper, and then just kind of stitched across the top of it to give it an element. And the needle actually surprisingly went through the cardboard very, very easily, so don't be afraid to kind of do that. And then this was just an extra little tail piece off of here, just to kind of tie it in together. All right, so my oversized envelope, I stitched all the way around, and I covered the inside part and just made a little pocket with some cardstock and glued a little design paper over it, just to kind of tie in some of this part here to the rest of it. This is almost all of this is almost all avocado dyed paper. I took out the beet juice paper and then just, like I said, kept it very simple. I want all of my surfaces to be able to be written on, so I didn't over embellish. In fact, I pretty much didn't embellish at all. I just added simple little touches to kind of zhuzh it up a little bit, if that's a word. Don't ask me how to spell it. I didn't stitch around the inside pages. I just stitched around the cover and the envelopes. So what I did is, I told you earlier that I was going to make a hinge. So I used a piece of cardstock, the same cardstock I used for the pockets and some of the journaling cards. And then I just made my little circle closures that I do. And I've got some more avocado paper inside there. Normally on my journals too, I do have the construction strings kind of hanging out. I trimmed them almost all completely off on this one. So not a lot of craziness on the inside. Again, it's just a nice simple little naked journal with avocado dyed papers and a little bit of ledger paper that's been coffee stained. So my avocado paper and a little bit of coffee. So this here is coffee stained graph paper. I do have 2 little pieces of beet dyed graph paper that just fit in the middle nicely, so I just used them. This is the only embellishment I have on the inside, and it's just a simple little cardboard die cut that I glued a little bit of lace. This polka dot trim, I wanted to use it inside the journal itself, but that was part of the stuff that I kind of edited out, only because it was becoming more than what I really wanted this particular project to be. So just more of the papers. You can kind of see this is my spray technique that I have a video on. I'll tag that in the description. And oh, that half didn't have anything on it at all. I kind of like the white. But when I spray, I also kind of do a little bit of this. So that's why I call it the finger painting, just because I get my hands in it. And the other envelope on the other side, there's its hinge, just an offcut of a piece of calendar, and then the little elements that I stuffed in. So this is just cardstock with a little bit of glued lace just to give it a little continuity. A simple little tag, nothing on it. I wanted everything to be able to be written on. And then one of my work surface papers. I already showed you the writing card, but what I am going to show you too is how I'm going to wrap this, because this is actually a gift, and I'm going to take a moment to tie this. I don't know if I'll just skip to the end or if you guys want to watch how I tie my bows. When I tie, basically the bottom side of the ribbon ends up being face up. So what I do is I tie it upside down just so that the seam binding part is on the top. So let me kind of just get this in here. And see, of course, it's going to end up backwards because I'm filming, right? Okay. All right, so I'm not going to fuss with it because I'm really just going to wrap it up. And I'm going to wrap it like an envelope. So let me stand up so I can see what's truly in frame and not in frame. What I'm going to do is show you how I wrap like napkins or even just scarves or pieces of fabric into an envelope. So I have it, the cornered pieces are basically together, okay? So it's in a triangle. And then what I do is I pull one side over, the other side over, keeping it as snug as I can. Oh, I made a mistake. Sorry. I'm pulling this down because I want it to be like a pocket. All right. And now I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to go this way. And what I'll probably do is maybe hand stitch a little button here. But then just going to kind of tuck this part in and hold this part down and bring this down. So I have an envelope. Well, it looks like a little envelope parcel. And then, where'd I put it? I'm going to use a satin ribbon to tie her shut. And again, of course, I don't measure anything, so hopefully that's long enough. I don't know why I do that, but usually I have more than what I need. So now I'm just going to tie another bow. But now my gift looks a little more like a gift. A little extra something special. If anybody's got any hints and clues on how to tie good bows, put it in comments, because I don't necessarily struggle, but it takes me a few times to get it pretty. But we're going to just leave this as it is. And I think I'm still going to come back with a button and just stitch it right here so it kind of stays in place. Or maybe I won't. No, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it like this. So there it is, my happy birthday journal. Thanks for hanging out, kids. Sorry I didn't show you a whole lot of what was going on during the process, but you can kind of see, especially because I kept it kind of on the basic side anyways. Okay, on to the slideshow. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.